What is going on, Tenta Crew? Billy the Squid here, and I really want to talk about Stranger of Paradise. 2 months ago, we got the demo, we got a bunch of trailers and stuff for it. Everything was good, and I was like, okay, we're going to get a constant flow of information, and then nothing. And I was really hoping to get something at Gamescom about Stranger of Paradise, and nothing came from that either. So, I am going to take it upon myself to make content on what I would like to see either implemented differently or added based on what I played in the Stranger of Paradise demo, as well as just being excited for the game coming forward. It's blending two things that I love very, very much in Final Fantasy and Souls-likes, and I am very excited. There's a lot of potential with this project, and I want to see what it can do moving forward. So, without further ado, here are the top 5 things I would like to see added or changed in Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. So the first thing, and I think it's something that's very, very simple and easy to do, minimal effort that will heighten my enjoyment immensely, is for them to add a bestiary to the game. Bestiary, however you want to pronounce it. These are one of the like little fine, minute details that I love more than anything when it comes to these kinds of games. Castlevania is one of the best franchises for doing bestiaries very, very well. The Souls-likes have never really been that kind of a game, but Final Fantasy, through some of its titles, have had very extensive and interesting bestiaries. I like to get to know my enemy. I want to know what makes them tick, what they like on our first date. What, if I invited them to my house, they would like to eat? Would it be goblin meat, or would it be some nice fairy wine? I want to know them inside and out. And a bestiary is a very low-effort way of doing that. Just get some writers on the job, get some still frame images, or even get the 3D model to show off the enemy, and just let me know. You can give a little bit of like battle info as well, like what they're weak to, what they're strong against. That is all well and dandy. Even lock that stuff behind having to kill so many. Since this is a Souls-like, you can reset the areas and get more and more of these enemies to spawn while also raising your level. You can learn more about these enemies. I think it would just be a very easy thing to implement that I'm sure I'm not alone in the enjoyment that a bestiary brings to my experience of these kinds of games. Number 2 thing that I would like to see added is more job offers. I understand that the demo has to have a minimal amount of jobs just to not oversaturate and like give too much away from the final product, but I really want them to expand upon the jobs that they currently have and add new ones in. We did not see really any form of ranged job other than what the mage and the black mage offered in the form of spells. I would like to see an archer or a gunner type character. The 2 side characters that we have, one uses 2 knives, one uses his fist. So I'm assuming a monk job type and a rogue job type are coming in. I would like to see those expanded into maybe the ninja or something like that. Machinist has been a big fan favorite of mine since it was released. I think a machinist job could go very well with this style game, especially if it's going more of a tech futuristic route, which I think it very well might be. And then lastly, we didn't see any form of mage other than the black mage. I would like to see a red mage, a white mage. I think these are all routes that they can go. And I think it would be really cool to maybe have like a static like base form like what the regular mage was, and then have it split off into different subsects, like have it split off to black mage, red mage, white mage. You could even add like a time mage or something in there. I understand that blue mage might be a little bit harder to do because they kind of already implemented that in you being able to absorb enemy moves and then release them back at them. But just something that would really expand out and make it so that you really want to focus on one job over another, just to unlock everything that it does have to offer. Piggybacking on this idea, number 3 is I want to see summoning of some type. I don't care exactly how it is, but summons have become a staple of these games. Final Fantasy 1 did not really take part in the summon effect at all. This is something that later installments really dove into, but at this point, a Final Fantasy game without summons does not feel like a Final Fantasy game. And I need it in some form or another. Whether you go a summoning job class, kind of like what Final Fantasy 14 does, where you have lesser enemies that you can like summon and fight for you, That might be a little bit harder to do since you already have AI companions. It might be a little too much for the game to be able to handle, but it would be cool. You could also go the more traditional, where you summon a giant monster. If it was something similar like what Kingdom Hearts does, where you summon like one of the big beasts, like Ifrit or Shiva, your regular allies go away, and it's just you and the summon fighting. That would be cool too. You could even do it like how Final Fantasy 15 does it, where it's basically a randomized event. You're in a fight, you're in a certain situation, and the game gives you the option to summon. That would be fine too. That would be my least favorite option for it, but it would be fine. And lastly, if you didn't want to give the player characters the realm of summoning, give it to some of the enemies. Let some of the boss fights have a summoning phase 2 or phase 3. That would very, very much... That would be something I could definitely see from a Souls-like perspective, whereas phase changes for boss fights are very, very common. A summoned phase change would fit perfectly in both Souls-like and Final Fantasy lore, because enemies have been able to use summons in the past. It would make sense here as well. Another thing I want them to expand on, and this is number 4, is give me more environmental effects. The game already showed a great deal of interest in pursuing those kinds of effects, and I don't want it to be something that is like touched on in one area and then never touched on again throughout the rest of the game. Give me more environmental effects, please. What I need to see is your fire spells interacting with more than just grass. In the demo that they had, you could burn grass, create a fire field, make it so that it was risky for enemies to walk through it. It was also risky for you to walk through it. Give me more of that. Give me lightning that you can shoot on water to electrify a pool of water. Give me ice that you can melt. Give me more ways to interact with the tornado, where you can, for instance, maybe suck up environmental objects like chairs or boxes or whatnot, and have them spinning around in the tornado, also doing damage to enemies as it goes through. More of those elemental effects, I think, are what can separate this game from a lot of the Souls-likes out there, because that's something these games really don't lean into, and I think that this game could very well get away with that. And lastly, please, give me more callbacks to the original Final Fantasy. We already got Garland as Chaos, which is where the very first Final Fantasy started out. That was your very first mission, was to go into the Shrine of Chaos and find Garland, save the princess, all of that good stuff. I want more callbacks to this. I understand that they are not doing a reboot of Final Fantasy 1. That is not what this game is intended to be. It is not going to be a reboot of Final Fantasy 1, at least not by the traditional sense. But give me more of those callbacks to at least have that familiarity to Final Fantasy 1, because that is something that I think a lot of people have been wanting, is some of those classic enemies brought to life. I want to see a modern day next generation version of the Four Fiends and what a modern day boss fight with them in it would look like. And even give me some of the Easter eggs that were in the original that maybe some people don't know about, but the tried and true fans do. Give me a Hall of Giants like what you had in the Earth Shrine, where if you kept going down this one hallway, every single tile was another giant fight, and you couldn't get in or out, and there was nothing down that hallway. It was just a loop where you had giant fights. You could easily over-level yourself there, but I would like to see more stuff like that. Let this game be its own unique thing while still maintaining the heart and soul that is Final Fantasy 1. That is what I want more than anything else. But thank you guys for watching. What do you want to see in Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin? The game has a lot of potential, both from a Final Fantasy perspective and a Souls-like perspective. It is a hodgepodge of those game genres that I feel works extremely well, and I just want more. They need to give me more info. But let me know what you guys want to see more of in the comments down below. If you want to see more Souls-like or Final Fantasy content, check out my stream nightly, 10:30 Eastern, twitch.tv/Billy_the_Skwid. And with that, I am out. Much love, Tenna Crew.